Thank you, everybody, for attending this Legislature Luncheon hosted by HWEA. My name is Joachim Schneider. You can call me Joko if you like. I am the Government Affairs Chair. And today we'll be talking about the upcoming 2022 legislative session and about some bills that I want to highlight. But most of this event is to invite discussion and just in general to talk about these bills so that we can potentially submit testimony on behalf of HWEA. And I forgot to say that my full-time job is as project coordinator for the local environmental nonprofit HWEA, which stands for Wastewater Alternatives and Innovations. Thanks all for attending. We want to get started today with a quick overview about the legislature in Hawaii. There are two legislative chambers, the Senate and the House of Representatives. There are 24 Democratic and 1 Republican senator and 47 Democratic representatives and 4 Republican reps. The leaders of those chambers are the Senate President Ron Cucci and the House Speaker Scott Saiki, both Democrats. And the leaders are elected by the members of their respective chambers. There's a total of 34 committees, 18 in the House, 16 in the Senate. And these committees are named after certain topics such as Ways and Means or environment. And the leaders of these committees are appointed by the Senate or the House, and the leaders appoint the members. The Ron Cucci and Scott Saiki, in this case, appoint the members to these committees and appoint the chairs. So the committees then make recommendations for action to the whole chamber, and it is required that there's minority party represented on each committee. This is how the legislative session usually works. There's a 1-week period for all bills to be introduced by a legislator. Usually that's between 2,500 and 3,000 bills per year together in Senate and House. And on average, approximately 7 to 10% of those end up becoming law. Second step is that bills are referred to committees, and they must be passed by every committee that they're referred to in order to advance. And this is the step where most bills die, which is what it's called when they don't advance. And there are committee hearings in each chamber, and that's where there's a chance for public testimony. Third step is that the bills must pass 3 votes in each chamber, and in the end, Senate and House have to agree on the exact wording of the bill, which then goes to the governor to either be signed or to become law without the governor's signature if the time passes, or the governor can veto, and Senate and House can then in turn override that veto. The 2022 legislative session will be between January and April, most likely. The calendar has not been published yet. Well, actually, the end and beginning have been published. It'll be January 19th to April 28th. The exact calendar has not been published yet. That usually happens between late December and early January. And the session is always 60 legislative days, which, however, can be extended by 15 days. And there's a mandatory recess of at least 5 days during each regular session. The committee hearings are scheduled by the committee chairs. Some bills never get heard, or many bills never get heard. And testimony can be submitted by the public, either in support or in opposition, or as a comment, neither supporting nor opposition. The relevant website here is capital.hawaii.gov, as I'm sure you know. And written testimony has to be submitted at least 24 hours before the hearing, and some committee chairs allow oral comments at the hearing itself. All testimony is posted on the website, so it's public record, and testimony can be submitted by individuals or organizations. And like I said earlier, if we find that HWEA members, so you all, overwhelmingly agree on some of these bills, then we may submit testimony on behalf of all HWEA members. And now to jump into some bills. These are by far not the only ones I want to talk about today, but these are just some to give you all an idea and to start the conversation, and then we can go from there. The first bill I want to highlight is the mandate of cesspool conversion at point of sale. If any of y'all have a question about what cesspool is, feel free to post it in the chat, and maybe someone else can explain it while I present. Essentially, it is a rudimentary wastewater disposal technique that is outmoded and is outlawed by 2050. A similar bill of cesspool conversion at point of sale has been introduced last year and might be reintroduced this year. That's why we're talking about it now. And the change to that bill is that last year it included an inspection mandate, and this year I will advocate for that mandate to be removed, because this point of sale mandate can be enacted without requiring an inspection. The problem that this bill addresses is that there are 88,000 cesspools across Hawaii, which all have to be converted by 2050. And unfortunately, they are currently low conversion rate, mostly due to low available funding for the homeowners, because these conversions can cost between $50 or around $50,000, or between 20 and 50 is usually what we say. This bill proposed the solution to mandate the conversion of cesspools at point of sale. However, there will be certain exceptions, for example, transfer within family and others similar. And why? The idea is that this will ramp up the cesspool conversion rate massively. It protects home buyers who then don't have to worry to convert their cesspool before 2050, because that will be handled, especially with 30-year mortgages. We're now running against that deadline. And the good thing is that funding is available when properties are sold. There are deals being made, there are loans being taken out, and home buyer and home seller can come to an agreement that works for both of them. And it has shown that this concept works well in other states. If you have any questions, feel free to interrupt me. I can monitor the chat from time to time, but you can also unmute yourself and interrupt me. That's totally fine. We'll talk more about this bill later, but first now another bill, sampling during groundwater advisories. This is similar to SB 350. SB stands for Senate bill in 2021. This bill addresses the problem that water quality is not always tested during groundwater advisories nowadays. And this leads to a public perception that the water quality, especially when averages are taken, is better than it really is. And this bill proposed the solution that water quality testing is required whenever feasible, even during groundwater advisories. And this bill also appropriates funds for position within the Department of Health to conduct this sampling. The rationale is that the public needs to be properly informed about water quality, and that can be ensured when testing is conducted whenever feasible. The third of 4 bills that I will present here is the idea of private companies helping with wastewater treatment plants. This is similar to Senate Bill 997 in 2021. However, that one had blowback from unions who were worried that this will jeopardize union worker jobs. And so language will be added to require private companies, whenever they do come in, to hire union workers. The problem this bill addresses is that some municipal treatment plants are deteriorating. One big example is Hilo Wastewater Treatment Plant, and the counties cannot afford fixing or replacing them, even through loan.
Have you considered exercising today?
I'll just really... Okay.
Yes.
Some counties cannot afford to cannot afford fixing them. The solution this bill proposes is to allow government to transfer ownership of those plants to private companies, and to also ensure that public jobs are not lost in this process. The rationale is that if plants fail, millions of gallons of wastewater per day would go to the ocean and pollute. Private companies, however, run plants successfully in Hawaii, for example, East Honolulu Wastewater Treatment Plant, and new private plants can replace residential and large capacity cesspools where there are no existing treatment plants. And the last bill that I want to highlight now is this is actually a Honolulu City Council bill, not a statewide bill, but I was asked to highlight this, and it is the Oahu Stormwater Utility that is being proposed. The problem that this bill addresses is that the urban stormwater runoff threatens the environment and public health, and there's currently no dedicated funding to mitigate this issue. This bill proposes to enact a stormwater fee based on the amount of impervious area per each parcel. And that money would then go to a special fund to be exclusively used for stormwater services. The reason that this is proposed is that it assesses a proportional impact on the cost that comes out of the stormwater that runs off of it, and that enables ongoing efforts in stormwater management instead of one-time actions, which they're taken now. And this concept is also working well in other places across the country. So I can bring up those slides again if you need, but I was planning now to stop sharing my screen and allow discussions, questions, and comments. Thank you.